for a higher GC news. Mima Obibia Akwaba. Latest hot enamede bro. Now so simning in our so we now subscribe ya but say over subscribe. Now like video give us a thumbs up. Nafi share now for so that when you be here. Now who and somewhere ekoso ewo Ghana memohanum. Afi tentemara yibura ye and somewhere abeto yepno so you could see AS report AS Ansemi Ababu to Jay Mumayeti AS Ansemi Mumayeti.
On what part that he's taking in going for this said amount. Take a listen.
A total of 0.5 billion has to date been recovered out of the 1.2 billion being pursued from the direct beneficiaries. Recovery of the remaining balance of 0.7 billion out of the 1.2 billion Ghana cedis and the realization of the landed properties provided are expected to be completed over a timeline of 18 months. A total of 0.5 billion has to date been recovered out of the 1.2 billion being pursued from the direct beneficiaries. Recovery of the remaining balance of 0.7 billion out of the 1.2 billion Ghana cedis and the realization of the landed properties provided are expected to be completed over a timeline of 18 months.
That's a challenge. And for example, earlier when Joe Jackson referenced this particular exercise and how that also has influenced what we're talking about now. Dr. Zato referenced the politics around this entire cleanup exercise. Apart from that, you cannot also discount the cost of it as well and how that had influenced the outcome that we are seeing now, taking into consideration the decision by the Attorney General to now opt for a recovery to, as in his words, settle some of the debts that this entire process has incurred on us as a people. Now, the other reference is made to what the Attorney General could have done differently based on the facts that were before him. He says, looking at the facts before him, pursuing this could lead to not having any conviction. So in exercising discretion, he decided to now opt for this restitution. Let's take a listen to the Attorney General again.
The battery fell. Monies didn't go out to anybody. These were just book entries that were designed to make the books of Unibank look good. That is how come that in the criminal case, the charge of falsification of accounts was brought against them. So they did not loot the money. They did not give the money to anybody. They just made entries that were meant to give Bank of Ghana, the central bank, the impression that the bank was doing well. Okay. Then the exclusion of 0.3 billion relating to Unibank's placement with a SEC-regulated, SEC-regulated related company currently in receivership, which is being pursued separately through the insolvency proceedings. After prolonged negotiations, the accused persons, by a letter dated 7th May 2025, made a proposal to settle the revised outstanding obligation of 3.3 billion Ghana cedis through a structured approach. The accused persons offered to pay 2 billion Ghana cedis in full and final settlement of the outstanding obligations through the following arrangements: 800 million worth of assets to be transferred directly to Unibank, which is in receivership, which will now make that available to the Bank of Ghana. And then their active cooperation and participation to assist the receiver to recover an additional 1.2 billion from the direct beneficiaries paid out on their instructions. Out of the above arrangements, the accused persons have provided landed properties valued at 824 million Ghana cedis to Unibank. That is in receivership. Further, in other words, indirectly to the Bank of Ghana or the Republic of Ghana. Further, the accused persons will be responsible for any shortfall in the proceeds realized from the sale of the landed properties. A total of 0.5 billion has to date been recovered out of the 1.2 billion being pursued from the direct beneficiaries. Recovery of the remaining balance of 0.7 billion out of the 1.2 billion Ghana cedis and the realization of the landed properties provided are expected to be completed over a timeline of 18 months. Although the preference would have been for me and my team for the accused person to settle the proposed amount in cash, immediate settlement in cash was not, from my sense of what transpired at the negotiations, a realistic possibility or a realistic option. In assessing the proposal submitted by the lawyers for the accused persons, I took into account the following factors. The receiver of Unibank acknowledged that the fictitious amounts totaling 2.1 billion did not result from cash outflows, but related to accounting entries that overstated the asset base of the bank, which predated Unibank's placement in official administration.
This is the path that the Attorney General is taking in recovering the said amount that he has settled on in this agreement with Unibank, taking into consideration how this case has evolved till now. Mr. Agyapong.
Under President Mahama's reset agenda, you now have an Attorney General who is open, wants to come out in the public domain to address the press and to subject his activities to public scrutiny. I think it's something that is commendable. It is where AGs were not doing some of these things are gone. And so for me, to the extent that there is information being put out there to give all of us something to chew on and for us to scrutinize is something that is a feather in the cap of President Mahama's reset agenda, and it's important that we put this out there in the public domain so that it becomes a certain standard. Duty bearers must be accountable. Duty bearers are not tin gods or tin goddesses who must always be in their offices and pretend that they know it all and that they are not accountable to the public. Now, my whole view about this is to make the point again, I think it's been made, but quite forcefully, that the whole idea of the banking sector cleanup was predicated on somebody's vendetta. Now, if you conduct vindictive politics, it would always be quid noli prosequas when power changes hands. If politics is not based on substance, if it is about today, I am in power, I will teach you a lesson. I mean, the commonsensical thing that you can think about when power changes hands is that people would also resort to some of these things to counterbalance what you may have done. That is not to legitimize it. I will go on to my main. But I think for starters, we must get it clear. If you get to power and you want to collapse other people's banks so that you flourish yours, and you do that in efficiency, the idea of efficiency is to use little to achieve more. You have a problem, we are told the problem was about 9 billion, and then
10 billion.
Less than 10 billion, and you used 30.3 billion to solve that problem.
So
What is wrong with your head? And we are here talking. When you have used over 30 billion to attempt to address a 9 billion problem, and there are repercussions and all, we are bold enough to not. I mean, and this is the country in which we find ourselves. NATO country.
Insanity. That's what it is.
It is
Dr.
no action, talk only. NATO country. 30 billion. I mean, who does this?
Nobody.
Look, somebody had to be arrested for a crime that he had committed. He owed me. I asked that they go for the money. He was being asked, the police called him. I said, it's not the duty of the police to be asking for people's debt. But when the police said they wanted to go and summon the person, there's some time passed. They said, can you fuel our car? I said, no problem. Get this to fuel your car. They went. The person was not there. The following day, they went. The person had bolted. Finally, they got the person to the court. And then they said, I needed a lawyer. The lawyer gave me a certain bill. I added the amount of money that I had paid to the police to fuel their vehicles, and then looked at the amount of money that I was going to be paying to my lawyer. I compared it to how much the person owed me. Mm-hmm. It didn't make sense to me. I said, later when I said that, he brought me back. So the idea of inefficiency, first of all, on the part of those who led the banking sector crisis, must be established. So when we appreciate that we did what was wrong, if you appreciate it first, then you want to move on to analyze what is being done to address what was wrong, and you are able to puncture holes in what is being done to address what was wrong, then you are making a lot of sense, and you are also trying to bring all other people on board. So because the problems of Ghana are such that we cannot offer a holistic solution to them if we don't build a lit consensus on how to address them. But in building a lit consensus on how to address them, first of all, if you were wrong, you must admit that, look, this thing we goofed. But going forward, once you say you goofed and you want to advise the one who is also advancing some solution to the wrongdoing, the person becomes sober in listening to you. Otherwise, then it doesn't, you even annoy. As you proffer solutions, you sound annoying because you use over 30 billion to address a problem that is less. I mean, are we? I don't know, but I want to be. But what is wrong with this? All right, let's move on to talk about this AG's intervention. I listened to the man, and the man is saying that if I go on the tangent that people are saying I have to go on, I may end up not securing any conviction, and I may not get anything. And so, this is the route I want to go. If there is some monies that can be accrued to the state, let us recover. After all, the name is Operation Recover All Loot. The idea is to recover. It is not about you owe me, I prefer to jail you than recovering. In the ambulance case that the current finance minister was involved, we are told that the company said that because of their own name and reputation, they didn't want the matter to go. They wanted to pay off whatever was due the state, and we are told that this was objected. In the end, we didn't get the money. We didn't secure the finance minister's conviction too. And I asked myself, so did we go or did we come? And so my view is that it's a democracy. It is within our rights to make suggestions that, look, trying to secure some monies from this whole thing is good. But we think that more can be done. I mean, if you say this, and President John Mahama is a listening president, and I'm sure that they watch some of these things, some of these programs that are convened, and I'm sure that the Attorney General may also be listening to some of the sentiments that are being expressed. If you make the point that, look, we think that, and crime has no expiry date, I'm not sure that anybody would say that legitimately, if we believe that beyond the collection or recovering of what has been lost, there were other procedural issues, there were other acts that borders on criminality, and they must also be addressed, or we must also take those involved on. I don't think that if anybody makes this case, the person will be wrong. But my point is, before making this case, situate whatever your analysis is well, okay, so that we all understand that some people decided to go on the tangent of vindictive politics because Adrimboniba Ukratimo Tongum using 30 billion to solve a problem. If you have 30 billion and the problem was 9 billion, why didn't you give them 10 billion and keep the rest for the state? We are not talking about that. And we are interested in recovery. Look, let us not fester, let us not create an impression. Nobody's creating an impression that there shouldn't be enough deterrence. I've heard arguments that is saying that, look, whatever is being recovered, is it going to be plus interest? Whatever is being recovered, have we factored the properties of those who are deemed to be culpable? Because some people are also saying that if you don't take care, if people feel that we can always embezzle or misapply or involve in some of these acts of criminality, and if push comes to shove, we will just be asked to pay, then it will fester the idea of let us do what is wrong. I believe that we should have deterrence, and I want to believe that we in a democracy, we have every right to make some of these calls to the powers that be. That look, we should also emphasize the fact that we do not want a situation where you simply go and collect your money, and then other things that are there that can be done wouldn't be done, and then in that case, then it will fester. It will fester some of these practices. But the point must be made that, for me, the name of the game is to recover all loot. And if somebody goes on that tangent, I'll commend the president, I'll commend the attorney general for the tangent that is chosen. But beyond that, if there are legitimate concerns that there are other things that would have to be done to ensure that there is adequate deterrence, I think it will not be out of place to make those recommendations. And I believe, like I've said, the president is watching, he's listening. And the Attorney General is also minded by some of the public reactions and sentiments that come. And to the extent that the idea is to reset Ghana, I do not believe that if the points are being made and they are legitimate and they would all help, they will help in resetting Ghana, I don't think that they will close their ears are closed, to some of these recommendations. But like I said, the first thing that must be admitted is that someone caused the problem. You don't cause the problem and stand on the rooftop and begin to shout when somebody is trying to address the problem. You don't shout about the loopholes in the solutions that are being adduced without first admitting that you first brought us, where we are. And so I believe that it is Ghana. We all have the right to make recommendations. We all have the right to make our input with the view to shaping public discourse and all that. Who is listening and who would listen, implement some of the proposals and recommendations we are making is critical. And in this case, it is President Mahama. In this case, it is the Attorney General. And I have every hope and belief that so long as what some are saying makes sense, they will not close their ears to it. If it makes sense and they want to do it, they want to do it to ensure that we don't perpetuate, we don't fester as a certain impression, because people are painting impression that if people are saying that if you don't take care, an impression will be created that look, you can do some of these things and go scot-free. If push comes to shove, you will just be asked to refund. If it is not good enough, we can say so. But let's say it's within the context, within the proper context, that it created a certain problem. And that problem must be addressed. And I agree with you, Dr. Mwakuba, that sometimes securing convictions and feeding the people, in prison wouldn't pay people's school fees. It's important that as a nation fighting hard the quagmires of poverty and underdevelopment, as a country wanting to reset itself, if there is every way, every means, every opportunity to recoup or to recover whatever has been lost to the state, we must go forcefully, to recover.
The concern is about how this path of recovery, which across the table, I don't think anybody has any issues with that. How that also impacts on the element of deterrence.
So I've said it. No, I've said it earlier that the Attorney General, I'm sure, is listening. There's been some public sentiments that have been expressed. Let us juxtapose what the public sentiments are with what he has said. He's come out clearly to tell a side of the story. And I'm saying we should even be commending this government for producing such an Attorney General who wants to be transparent, who wants to come out to explain. And we are told that he's not bound to even explain, do what he's done. And so we should be commending them. And I'm saying again that if we jump, I'm sure they will be able to juxtapose the public sentiments that are being articulated with the defense or the justification given by the Attorney General. And once the side-by-side comparison is done, I am sure what I see with the John Mahama government now is that they truly want to reset. They want things to be done right. And the last time we went, like I said, on orientation for CEOs, it was made clear that acts of corruption and some of these things will not be countenanced. And we're also told that you should be listening. And so if the comments that are being passed are legitimate and they are properly articulated and in comparison with the position that has been taken, they make sense. I am sure they'll be heeded too. But if they don't make sense or if they will not help, I want to hope and believe that what is right for Ghana is what this government is doing.
Martin Bebo, if you can hear us, I want you to reposition so I get a clear connection to you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
But I can hear you, but yes, the connection is a bit cranky. So if you could just reposition for me so that we'll have a clearer connection to you. Mr. Joe Jackson, let me come to you on this while we rectify that connection to people. We'll rectify that. You see, we've seen that round concern about what could have been done differently. But then again, you conclude by saying that in the end, the focus should be on what can be recovered based on the Attorney General's own assessment of the facts before him. He came to give the details of the facts before him. And the fact that if, based on his own judgment and discretion, pursuing this to the end, he may not even secure conviction. And that will mean that we would have lost any recovery whatsoever, as in the case of Beige. Does that cut it?
It does. It does for the simple reason that as at today, we owe 30 billion.
That is the cost of the cleanup.
The cost of the cleanup. That cannot be reversed. That has already been spent. So the best we can do is to ask ourselves that, does this make sense? What lessons can be learned? And then rapidly move to reduce that bill by recovering as much as we can. And truly, that should be our priority now. How do we recover and reduce the burden on the public purse? In addition, in terms of lessons learned, then comes the next question. How do we make sure this does not occur again? How do we make sure that in recovering the money, we don't create a moral hazard where everybody goes around thinking, I can do it, pay 60%, hold 40%, and get away with it?
Did the Attorney General do well in explaining why he decided to go on?
He did. He gave his reasons. And I'll be honest with you, I appreciate the Attorney General coming out to tell us why he did it. We can do, and if he didn't, we wouldn't even be able to carry on this debate. And telling us the numbers and where he's coming from, for better or for worse, whether you agree with him or not, you have to appreciate the fact that he could come out and speak to you and tell you what is happening. We appreciate that. Will we always agree with him? Maybe not. But at least we can have an honest discussion about what is happening.
Unlike the case previously.
Definitely.
And if you can now, yes, I think that the connection to you is a bit clear now. Now, I was asking the question about whether this path that the Attorney General is taking, which Joe Jackson comments, and across the table, there's that appreciation of he wanting to do things differently by explaining why he even signs knowledge or agrees or files a knowledge prosequas. Is it doing him any good? Or, as was the case previously, the Attorney Generals that came before him will sign and also agree to or file knowledge prosequas and not explain to us the reasons why they took that decision?
Hello?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Yes. So this decision to come out with information is doing Ayini extreme good, if we can use the word extreme. Because, you see, he's laid bare the facts. And the facts are in his favor. What are these facts that are in his favor? He says he's not sure. There are a number of them we cannot exhaust of, and let's see what we can do in the limited time. He says he is not sure that he can secure a conviction. Please, and that is the technical point we cannot just brush aside. He is in the saddle, and he says that he cannot guarantee this is what you call a conviction. So when the man in the saddle cannot guarantee a conviction, the best thing is to recover, because half a loaf is better than none. That's a key thing. Half a loaf is better than none. Now, when he says he's not sure he can secure a conviction, let's not forget, I believe you have the Attorney General's opinion at the time. Godfrey Dami signed it 25th January 2019, where Godfrey Dami himself said the revocation of the license is illegal. I hope you have that. Let me read instructive portions of it. And these things were going to be used against us in court, against the Republic, because the person the government asked to write an opinion on the revocation of the Unibank license has publicly, advised the Finance Minister Ofori Atta that the revocation is illegal. And you say you are going to court to win. Which case? How are you going to win a case in which the Attorney General, the advisor to the government, says the revocation of the Unibank license is illegal? Look, the report, let's read page 5. There are a number of pages we can read. Godfrey Dami at the time raised so many things against the revocation of the license. Let's start with this. Page 5, the last but one paragraph.
Right.
I'm reading. He says, it is apparent from the foregoing that revocation of license of a bank or a specialized deposit-taking institution or the appointment of a receiver are not part of the actions that may be taken pursuant to a report prepared under Section 114. So here he is. He says revoking a license is not part. Let me give the context because we cannot read all because of limited time. Earlier on in the pages before page 5, up to where I read, Godfrey Dame referred to the fact that when you appoint a receiver, okay, the receiver in 90 days has to give you a report on the operations of the bank, etc. Now, based on the report, you are now supposed to, that's when you say you, I mean, Bank of Ghana is supposed to take remedial measures on what to do to make sure the bank operates well. Hello, Mr. Okansi?
I can hear you clearly, but we can't see you though, but yes.
Yes, so then you go to, so that I'm sure this is better so that we don't lose me. Now, so you go to section 115, then you see that some of the remedial measures, section 115 of Act 930 says that increase of capital by existing shareholders. And that is exactly what Dufour did by writing to the governor that, look, I want to inject 1 billion. Then the governor said, we don't want to do it. We are bent on doing a political vendetta, all right? Vengeance. We want to cut oxygen to an NDC-linked bank. So they said, no, they are not taking it, right? Then you go to section 116. It says recapitalization. So that is to say, bring in more capital. So the Dufours wanted to do it. No, the BOG will not have any of it. Then go to 117, mergers, sales, and other restructuring like transfer of assets and liabilities. Then you go to, and that's not what happened. Then you go to 118. It says mandatory restricting of liabilities. Then you go to 119, removal of key directors and key management personnel. So the point we are making is that Godfrey Dame said, these are the only things that you can do. You cannot revoke a license. So after all this, then I read to you, and let's repeat for emphasis. That's why he said, it is apparent from the foregoing that revocation of a license of a bank or a specialized deposit-taking institution or the appointment of a receiver are not part of the actions that may be taken pursuant to Amano Dudu's report under section 114.
And this is contained in Godfrey Dame, the Attorney General at the time's own opinion on this.
Exactly. Page 5. And then we go on. So he said it is wrong. Then he went on and came back and said, so once it was based on Amano Dudu's report that they were taking the actions, you cannot use revocation. Revocation of a bank license is not one of the options. Then he went on and said, look, if they wanted to do under section 16, that's revoke the license under section 16, the same way of Act 930, then they have to give the Unibank an opportunity, 30 days, to see what they can do to remedy the defects. That was not done. Then he went on, number 3, to say that, in the same manner, if you wanted to do revoke the license under section 112, then in that case, to the same thing, give opportunities. So then he goes to page 7 and says, it therefore cannot be asserted that the termination of official administration was effected in accordance with section 122 of the Act. So remember that Amano Dudu's tenure as receiver was also cut short because he had been appointed for 6 months, and yet we decided to cut it short in 4 months to do the political vendetta, to do the Beye, Abro and Beye. I've referred to the revocation of the Unibank license as a textbook example of Beye ne Abro. Beye as witchcraft in tree. Abro, all right, just pull it down.
Wickedness.
Sorry? Yes, Council, you make your point.
Yeah, so Beye and Abro, because look, Ofori Atta was jealous. He was basically jealous of the Dufours. So he wanted that by the time they leave office, the Ofori Attas would be the biggest business. Yes, in Ghana. That was very pure. Beye and Abro, pure and so that's what Professor Agyapong referred to. And let me give you further evidence of the Beye and Abro. Please, you can play back Godfrey Dame tape. the Japa case, Godfrey Dame said it, that it was Akufo Addo, president of Ghana, and Ofori Atta, finance minister, who were on his neck, compelling him to get a conviction of Ato Forson and Japa by all means, so that there will be a by-election, etc. So please, I've given you evidence that Godfrey Dame said it is Akufo Addo and Ofori Atta who were using him for those unethical things. Please. So I'm not doing just suspicion. He himself has said it, that Ofori Atta as finance minister and Akufo Addo are the ones who were pushing him, destroy these businesses, cut oxygen to NDC, because those wars are linked to NDC. If you destroy this bank, then it means that NDC will not get funded, etc. Now, so, Council, let's go on with this.
Yeah. So Council, just on the bit of that, Godfrey Dame advice that, or his opinion that you read, how consequential is it, taking into consideration the Attorney General's assessment of the case, so that this decision would be the most probable for the Attorney General? That Godfrey Dame, in his own opinion, said it is apparent that the revocation of a bank's license or appointment of a receiver are not actions permitted under a report prepared pursuant to Section 114. How consequential is this?
It destroys the case. It totally blows up our case in a court of law, because Godfrey Dame says, hey, this revocation is illegal. And in law, you hear lawyers will tell you that there's a popular legal principle. You can't put something on nothing. That's McFoy versus USA. And the Supreme Court of Ghana has stated this principle ad nauseum over 1,000 times. So Godfrey Dame's report, that's his AG's opinion, 25th of January 2019, was going to be used to give us a bloodied nose. We're going to suffer a bloodied nose in court. It was going to be like the Japa case that Godfrey Dame lost recklessly. And so Ayini wasn't going to be reckless, because Godfrey Dame says what you've done is illegal. So if what you've done is illegal, how can you prosecute these people? Because in law, you have to first clear the legality first. If what you've done is illegal, how can you prosecute Dufour, the governor, Isiama, all of those people, Holder Holdings, you know the list? How can you do it when your own actions are illegal? And Godfrey Dame didn't say it once, he didn't say it twice. He said it more than 3 times all throughout the report, where he kept reference. Then he says that, let's give you further evidence. He says that the setting up of CBG itself was illegal. Okay? Yes, he says the setting up of CBG itself was an illegal thing, and the transfer of the assets to CBG is also illegal. Let's read that part slowly so that we get it.
And this is, which specific part of the report are you quoting?
Page 9. So I'm starting from the first paragraph. He says, what they did is illegal. He says, there is no provision in Act 930 for a receiver appointed pursuant to Section 123 to be vested only with selected assets and liabilities, as stated in the letter appointing the receiver. The trust of that letter, together with statements contained in the official public announcements by the Bank of Ghana, all dated 1st August, confirm that the effect of the decisions taken on 1st August 2018 was to transfer the goods, assets, and liabilities to another institution other than the receiver. So you see it. He says there is no provision where you can do, you select somebody, you vest somebody with selected assets and liabilities. He says it is wrong. It is wrong. Then let's go and look at the criminal, listen. He says Akufo Addo, Ofori Atta, and Governor Addison were engaged in criminal conduct. Let's read that criminal conduct. He says that, now, the receiver, 1 second. He says that I've gone to page 10, where he says they've engaged in criminal conduct. Criminal conduct. He says, paragraph 8, VII. We note that CBG was incorporated on 1st August 2018, and a certificate to commence business was issued to that bank on 2nd August 2018. Mm-hmm. We also observe that selected assets and liabilities of the 5 banks were transferred to Unibank on 1st August 2018 via a purchase and assumption transaction before the grant of a certificate to commence business. Section 27 of the Companies Act 1963, Act 179, prohibits a company incorporated in Ghana from transacting a business until it has satisfied the provisions therein and has been issued with a certificate to commence business. A violation of this provision constitutes a criminal offense for which the company and every officer of the company shall suffer a penalty prescribed by Section 29 of the Act. Then he goes on. The transfer of selected assets and liabilities of Unibank on 1st August 2018 is business which CBG was not authorized by law to engage in as at 1st August 2018. Mr. Okanse, are you with me?
Yes.
So you see, he says they've committed a criminal offense. Yet Godfrey Dami didn't have the courage to what? Prosecute Ofori Atta, Governor Addison, and all those people. Rather, he was fostering.
And who was this? Who was this opinion? Who was this?
Fostering and fostering criminal conduct.
Who was this opinion put together for, and for what purpose exactly? With what you have just read, in fact, I have a copy of it. What was supposed to be the consequence of the former Attorney General Godfrey Addo's opinion, as you have elucidated quite clearly on this entire process, which he describes and raises concerns about the legality of the process and so on? Who was supposed to take action on this?
He addressed it to Ken Ofori Atta, Honorable Minister, because at that time they sought to join the Attorney General to this lawsuit. So the Attorney General was saying, hey, that's the case in which Ni Amano Dodu sued Dr. Kwabena Agyapong and 16 others.
Yes.
And so Ni Amano Dodu now sought to add the Attorney General. Okay? So then Attorney General is saying that, hey, this case, Charlie, Ofori Atta, if they add us to this case, we are in trouble because you've committed a crime. You Addison and Akufo Addo, you've committed a crime. You've given license to CBG contrary to the law, etc. And in any event, even this revocation itself is illegal. That's what Godfrey Dami is telling Ofori Atta, the finance minister. So he gave him a lengthy opinion showing him that, hey, this is a crime scene. This is a crime scene. CBG and revocation of the Unibank license is a crime scene. Please, let us try and avoid this situation because it will be an embarrassing situation for the government of Ghana, for you, Ofori Atta, for Akufo Addo, etc. So that let's run away. Let's flee from this ignominious defeat, this ignominious embarrassment. It shows that we are just on a political witch hunt. That is what Godfrey Dami had written. And yet, these guys would not listen. They continued. So Dominic Ayine has done the right thing by fleeing away from obvious defeat. Unlike Godfrey Dami as Attorney General, who refused to flee from obvious defeat in the Ato Forson and Jakpa case, where he was caught on tape, engaged in unethical conduct, which eventually led to our losing all the money. We didn't even get 1 cedi back. And of course, people are saying that Godfrey Dami should be investigated, charged, and prosecuted for causing financial loss to government. When the foreigners say, look, take this money, then you refuse the money. Of course, you have to add Ofori Atta and Akufo Addo because he says he was doing that hatchet job for Akufo Addo and Ofori Atta. So that is the state of. And then let's quickly go to this. I don't know if your other panelists refer to it. Look, let's look at Amano Dudu's own report. The 5.7 billion that we're talking about, it never existed, though.
No, so I referenced a particular quote attributed to him in his own report on that whole KPMG thing. We'll flip it and put on the screen right now. Abdallah will just do that very quickly. That part of Amano Dudu, he says. We have not sought to verify, I don't know if that's what you're saying, we have not sought to verify information or perform procedures necessary to express an audit opinion on any financial, non-financial information contained in this report. Let's put it on the screen. And then absolutely.
So that is it. So 5.7 never existed. This thing was just a political vendetta. Abro ni beye. That's Operation Abro ni beye. That's all that Ofori Atta, Governor Addison, Akufo Addo, and Godfrey Dami were engaging. Operation Abro ni beye.
I see. Well, there was this point about how much the government owed the bank, and was that consequential in any way? Prof, do that quickly. Mr. Jackson will have to leave us. So quickly.
I just wanted to make this point, listening to Martin, and just thinking about the whole thing again. And you see, like I keep saying, we'll be able to make giant strides in our recommendations to government and in our analysis of this matter when we have been humble enough to admit what went wrong first. Okay, so you owe a bank, and so the bank is unable to meet its obligation. The bank comes to you to say that, so pay me so that I'll be able to meet the obligation. In response, you say, I won't pay you, but I'll collapse you. This is vindictively evil and an incompetent solution to a bank that owes that you must salvage. So I keep asking myself, was that the right way to go? You owe the bank. The bank, because you owe them. Okay, what sort of neck pressing response and solution is this? And then now there is an issue. The same people who saw this, now they are talking. I think that we should be serious in this country as a people in fashioning out solutions to problems. And if we don't want to get serious, when people mean well and they want to look for solutions, I think the least we can do is to pat them on the shoulder and to correct and to encourage them to do what we couldn't do. But to pretend that nothing happened and things just came from the moon, and so, I mean, for me, it doesn't augur well for us as a people who are learned and as a people who are thinking being. I mean, I don't get it. It is, let us reduce it to this simple scenario. I am saying that a government owes a bank. The bank, because of the huge debt, is unable to meet its obligation. So the bank says, well, pay me how much you owe so that I can do what is required of me. And your intervention, your solution is that, well, I'll spend $1 billion to wipe you off. I think that it doesn't make sense to me. And so every discussion about this should be situated, within this, so that we can be seen to be building some consensus as to what must be the way forward. Otherwise, if you don't situate the argument well, it becomes difficult for us to be listened to.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. click on the bell to turn on the notification.